Welcome to ESPN College Football presented by Ashley. You're watching the Big 12 on ESPN. And today on the banks of the Brazos, two of the hottest teams in the Big 12 meeting in a high-stakes regular season finale here in Waco. The Giant Killers from Kansas, the Jayhawks, 3 straight top 25 wins, and the Baylor Bears going for their 6th consecutive win today. I'll tell you, trying to figure out who's going to play in the Big 12 title game in Arlington, it's like advanced calculus. Look at these standings. 6 teams entering the day still in the hunt. They all need to win and get help, including Baylor. Need to win and have Arizona State, Iowa State, and BYU all lose. And even after that, they might not be in. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Waco. Alongside my partner, Steve Adazio, I'm Clay Matvick. It's great to have you with us. Steve, back in early October, it didn't figure that this game was going to matter much. But here's Baylor, a dark horse for the Big 12 title, and Kansas playing for bowl eligibility today.
And both teams playing their best football. I think it took a while for both teams to really settle in on their quarterback play and learning their rosters, but they're there now. And they've had some tough defeats, but they've had some amazing victories. I think we're looking forward to a great game today.
Well, certainly a good running back matchup today. Devin Neal, the senior from Kansas, and the redshirt freshman Bryson Washington of Baylor.
Yeah, Devin Neal is an impact player. He's got 199 carries, over 1,100 yards, and 15 touchdowns. He can make you miss. He's a big back, a powerful back, a game changer. Look for him to really have a good day. Now you take Bryson Washington. He is another big-time, big back playmaker. You know, he's had 500-yard games and 142 carries for 812 yards and 10 touchdowns, and that's with missing the first 3 games. So he's another impact player.
Here's our Oral-B Player Spotlight brought to us by Oral-B. And yeah, Bryson Washington likely over 1,000 yards as well, if not for the injuries early in the season. It should be good. Neal and Washington going head-to-head as we get ready for this one.
Coach, you said one of the keys to this game was coming out with energy. What have you thought about the way your team has played with energy in this first half?
I think it's been mixed. I feel like we can play better. A lot of credit goes to Kansas. They're an explosive team, and they've got a good pass rush. You know, the turnovers are helping us, but we got to capitalize more on the opportunities that we have.
What ways do you want to see your team play better in the second half?
More consistent. I think we're having busts. You know, this is a lot of games into a season. There shouldn't be as many busts as there's been. Then offensively, you know, I think we got to settle down with our throw game. I think there's things there that we've got to be able to hit on.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
21-10, Baylor leading Kansas at the half. We're going to now send you to the studio. Kevin Connors and Trevor Matich.
All right, Clay, Sawyer, Robertson, Sharp in that first half, 3 touchdown passes. Welcome into the Voya halftime report. We begin in Nashville, where things began with a bang. Trevor, opening kickoff. Junior Sherrill takes it back.
Welcome back to this rivalry, Vandy. Vandy's always hated Tennessee. Tennessee has always basically ignored Vandy, but now Vandy is a real threat to win this game.
It was 14-0 before you blinked, and then Nico hooked up with Dante Thornton.
Yeah, the reason it's 14-0 is that on the previous drive, Tennessee fumbled the ball and gave Vandy a short field.
Second quarter, 17-7 game. Diego Pavia intercepted by Jerron McCoy.
And what a great interception. I mean, that was just fantastic defense to get the ball out of the receiver's hand when the receiver had a touchdown.
All right, 2nd and 5 moments ago. Nico Thornton, this is going 86 yards.
And this has not happened a lot for Tennessee in conference play. In conference play, they have not been explosive offensively. They're trying to get back to that.
17-17 your score over on ABC. Welcome into the Voya halftime report. BYU national champion Trevor Matich, Kevin Connors here with you. In the Big 12, we started the day with 6 teams still very much in the mix to make it to the Big 12 championship game. The scenarios are awfully complicated. Here's what you need to know. No one controls their own destiny. Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State all need to win and have at least one team lose. Colorado has already won. They need 2 teams to lose, and then Baylor and K-State need a lot of help. Let's start with the Arizona State game. Cam Scadaboo, top 10 in rushing yards in the country, But Arizona has a stud in receiver in Tet McMillan, who leads all power conference receivers.
Yeah, he's over 1,000 yards receiving, 78 catches, being thrown the ball by his quarterback Noah Fafita, who was his high school teammate, best friends. These guys have a great connection. And this is really the way this upset could happen, because the Arizona team as a whole this year, not that great, but nobody has been able to stop Fafita to McMillan. And if there's a soft spot on the Arizona State team, it's in pass defense. It's in the secondary. They're pretty good, but McMillan is not pretty good. He's going to be a high first-round draft choice. This is where the upset could happen.
K-State, Iowa State ought to be a great game later today in Ames. It's going to be awfully cold temperatures, somewhere in the 20s here. What's going to be the key to that game?
I think the running game will be the key. When it's that cold, the football gets hard, it gets slick. And because of that, the ground game, I think, will dominate. Now, Kansas State dominates on the ground. They lead the Big 12 in yards per carry on offense and in yards per carry allowed on defense. They have the better running game. They stop the run better than Iowa State, and I think they have a big edge in this matchup because of the temperature.
Iowa State a 54% chance to make it to the Big 12 championship game to start the day. K-State just 3%, but that'll be a good one. We'll have an eye on in Ames throughout the day. And when we come back, we'll check in on the game. Michigan and Ohio State, everything in front of the Buckeyes. Wolverines looking to play spoiler, and we're on spoiler alert right now. You'll see it next.
This halftime report is presented by Voya. Well planned, well invested, well protected.
When you order...
This is the Voya halftime report.
With Trevor Maddich, Kevin Connors, the game, Michigan and Ohio State in the shoe. Been a down year for the Wolverines. But, boy, they're playing inspired today. Trevor, behind Alex Orji.
They are, and they have to do this on the ground because their passing game is averaging about 4 yards per attempt.
Down at the 3-yard line, 4th and 1. Why not go for it? Look at the stop by the Buckeyes D.
And you thought Ohio State now was all set because this was a long drive by Michigan that came to nothing.
But Buckeyes get it. Will Howard intercepted by Amir Hall.
Dangerous throw from his own end zone with Hall so close to his receiver.
And then Kalel Mullings makes him pay.
And this is the difference in the game. Neither team is really moving the ball with enough consistency to get a touchdown. That was a 2-yard touchdown drive off the interception.
10-3, Michigan leading, but Ohio State is driving. Meantime, the Palmetto Bowl, Clemson and South Carolina, and a good start for Cade Klubnik and Antonio Williams.
He's been able to connect down the field multiple times in this game. 3 different receivers have catches of 25 or more yards.
Keep in mind, Clemson still a chance to make the ACC championship. They need Syracuse to beat Miami. Here's Klubnik keeping it himself.
Dangerous on the ground. Remember, he had that 50-yard game-winning touchdown run against Pitt a couple of weeks ago in the final 2 minutes.
Trevor, this is a very good South Carolina team led by Lenoris Sellers.
No, they're ranked 15th in the nation, and they have the possibility still of making the playoffs. Sellers has been a revelation at quarterback as a dual threat.
7-7 game, low scoring over on ESPN. Meantime, late last night, if you stayed up, you got a classic. What a performance put in by Haynes King.
Haynes King was fantastic on the ground and in the air, and he got beat up in this game, showed a lot of courage.
It was 17-0 at the half. Georgia had to rally late behind Carson Beck and Dominic Lovett.
And once again, Carson Beck had to bring them back with his arm. Much maligned this year, but in recent weeks, Beck has been back to normal.
Man, 2 minutes to go, 3rd and 1. King is going to get hit hard and fumble the football.
Yeah, look at King on the ground. He's battered at this point. I tell you, the resolute courage that he showed just to continue this game was magnificent.
So short field for the Dogs, and they would take advantage with over a minute to go. Beck to Lovett again.
And here comes Beck. That was a great throw. It was a dangerous throw, but he put enough velocity on it to get it in there.
Second longest game in terms of overtimes in the history of college football before Nate Frazier takes it in the 8th overtime, and Georgia beats Georgia Tech 44-42. The scenario is very simple in the SEC. Georgia's already going to play for that championship. Texas A&M tonight under the lights in College Station on ABC. The winner of that game will play Georgia for the SEC championship. The Aggies' only path to the CFP is by winning that game and then beating Georgia. Texas, we know, is in. What's the key to victory for the Horns?
Well, they need to protect Quinn Ewers, their quarterback, so he has time to push the ball down the field. This is very much a short passing offense that relies for most of their big plays on yards after catch. They do throw it down the field sometimes, but Ewers averages 6.2 air yards per pass attempt. That's last in the SEC. And so with the sprained ankle, his offensive line is going to need to give him more time in the pocket to push the ball down the field against this terrific, ferocious Texas A&M defensive front.
It's an Aggies team that's beaten 3 straight top 5 teams at Kyle Field. How do they make it 4 tonight? Well,
Marcel Reed, their quarterback, freshman, is going to need to perform like a veteran, and he did for the most part last week against Auburn. A&M fell behind against Auburn last week, 21-0 in the first half because they struggled to run the ball against the Tigers' defense. And this is very much a run-first offense. The pass works off of the run, but in the second half, Reed brought them back with his arm to tie it at 31 and send it to overtime. I expect a similar scenario in this game against Texas. I don't think A&M will bully the Texas defense to be able to score a lot of points with the run. I think that Reed will have to match Ewers through the air.
It's been a while since these traditional rivals have played. It's good to see this matchup back as SEC opponents tonight, 7:30 on ABC. And we've got an update from the shoe when we come back.
Disney's Moana 2. Moana and Maui are back in the must-see movie event of the holiday season, and it can only be seen in theaters. Get your tickets for Disney's Moana 2, now playing in theaters everywhere. This halftime report is presented by Voya. Well planned, well invested, well protected.
Playoff implications on the line on Monday Night Football for the Denver Broncos anyway. Browns and Broncos, Monday, 8 Eastern, ESPN. Got an update from Columbus, Ohio. Michigan leading 10-3. And then Trevor, Will Howard found Jeremiah Smith.
Howard has had to do this with his arm. They're not running the ball well against Michigan, and we knew coming into this game that Michigan's chance to win was for their defense to hold down the score, and they've done it.
First time that game is tied at halftime since 2017. Sawyer Robertson, 1 of 3 touchdown passes for the Baylor Bears. Second half from Waco is coming up next.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football presented by Ashley. You're watching the Big 12 Conference on ESPN. Senior day at Waco McLean Stadium. He's Steve Adazio. I'm Clay Matvick. 21-10 Baylor leading as we get ready to start the second half. One of the reasons, Steve, that Kansas was so hot the last few weeks and pulling off top 25 upsets is they protected the football. 2 first-half turnovers for the Jayhawks today.
The turnovers just kill you. Yeah. And they had 2 big ones. And then that was also at the same time that Baylor is having 2 big explosives that turn into touchdowns. So that swing is always a tough momentum thing to overcome.
And closing in on 600 yards of total offense for both of these teams.